Good afternoon. Welcome to this week's edition, Thanksgiving edition, of Warrenton's finest fantasy football league. I am your host and commissioner, Jeff Darling. So pleased to be coming to you guys from Arkansas. Never been to this state before. Arkansas. If I was Greg. That's probably how I'd be saying it every time I had a chance. It's weird that it is pronounced Arkansas, or maybe Kansas should be called Kansas, and Arkansas is the correct one if it's got a French background. I don't know, we could look into that later if we want to, but I think what we should instead be doing is talking about last week of our fantasy league. We are doing our week, what week is this? Week 11 recap, week 12 preview. Let's go ahead and get on into it because we got some turkey to eat and some mashed potatoes to mash. First matchup, Dallas Jeff Boys going up against the Flute Master. And early on, folks, it wasn't looking so great. It wasn't looking great. I thought I was going to lose. And Michael, you put up a valiant effort, but I did beat you. 113.5 to 100.96. Honestly, after that Thursday night game when Lamar got you 23 and Edwards got you 20. Now, Matt, I hate to keep bringing this up, and I know why you dropped him. Because when you dropped him, Gus Edwards had gotten you 5.1, 5.9, and 4.8, and 5.8. You dropped him after getting an average of 5 points a week. Since you've dropped him, Michael's gotten 20.9, 28.4, 17.2, 9.3, and 20 points. That's insane. That's just unfortunate. Unfortunately for Michael, it didn't quite help this week. Did take the loss, but it was a hard-fought battle. It really kind of came down right to the end. Not much that could have been different on either end. Good lineup setting. It just, my team played better. It happens. Next up, Matt. Oh boy. You didn't gloat. You didn't brag. You were timid. You were respectful. You did everything right. And still, Fantasy said, no, we don't want Matt to be happy. We want him to stay up till midnight and then go to bed. So bitter and so sad. And I feel bad for you. I do. The Weasel against God on Strike, 123.7 to 120.9. In fact, it was looking, right up until the very end. They did one last tush push. They got Jalen Hurts in the end zone. And unfortunately, that was it. And then the one last drive they gave it to Swift. He got -2 yards. But boy, that was wild because going in, Matt, I think you needed 3 points, and Hurts got 18.9, and Swift got you 18.2. And that's just, what are you going to do? 120 points, and you can't win. But again, you started all the right people. The Weasel started all the right people, and it was just we enjoyed it. Good entertainment value, and better luck next time. But that was a wild game. You can't be mad losing at 120. That was a good game. Next up, Team Queen going against Chat GB Lee and Hannah. You again 103. That's pretty good, but you can't beat Brandon. The robots are gonna take over the world. I keep saying this. Dallas defense got you 23 again. How many times is that this season, Hannah? I think they've gotten you over 20 points 4 times now. Over 3 times. That's pretty crazy. But Joe Burrow going out, I think that was a dagger. And then Osborne from Minnesota. Marquise Valdez-Scantling. There's really no one else that you really could have picked up that could have done it. If Justin Jefferson could come back, I'm telling you, were you the first pick of the draft, Hannah? I think you were. That first pick, what a bummer. That's why you never go wide receiver with the first pick. They're just... All right, next up, Uncle Touchdown taking on the Wanakee Squirrel Salads. And Greg, I'm going to be kind to you and just say that the coolest thing that happened with that game was that your score was 76.76, which is kind of cool. I kind of like the synchronization there. Uncle Touchdown, 117.76. So we just had a lot of 1776 goings on here. Very patriotic, very, very American way to lose. Mark Andrews, Uncle Touchdown, I'm very sorry for your loss there. I've got 3 tight ends. If you'd consider trading Breece Hall to me, I might give you Dalton Schultz. It's my open pitch, even though I'm probably going to face you in the playoffs at some point, so maybe I shouldn't do that. But it's a big bummer, Hannah, for you to lose Joe Burrow, and then Sean, for you to lose Mark Andrews this late in the season. It's hard to find people to replace people. There's been a lot of injuries this year. It's been very difficult. Greg, you lost again, and I feel bad for you. Don't be sad. I was sad when I read your comment saying that you hate football this year. I mean, I'm laughing, but I am not happy about it because I want everyone to be having a great time. The whole point of this is to have fun, right? Speaking of having fun, team touchdown, Big Daddy Dan, little baby Harv, first thing that you do for him, Dan, is you lose. That's not setting a good example for your son. But I think you're probably tired, and that's probably why you started Kemba Walker III, if that's really his name. I think, no, Kenneth Walker. Who's Kemba Walker? Is that a basketball player? Anyway, 72.5 to Field of Dreams, 99.86. Carlos making a bid for the playoffs, doing his very best to get in there. It's pretty interesting when you see, Calvin Ridley, 28 points, and then right up against Tyreek Hill for 26 for you, Dan. But again, Dan, you're not starting the right quarterbacks. If I hadn't made fun of you with Trevor Lawrence so badly last week, maybe you would have started him this week. But who expects you to go from scoring 2.1 points to 32.1 the next week? That's a 30-point swing. That 30-point swing, if you had gotten those extra 20 points, you still would have lost. But maybe if you'd started, no, I don't think you would have won. So maybe that makes you feel better. Moving right along, slightly above average team taking on his big brother. And big brother said, ooh, I'll let you have this one, Jace. 102.54 to Mike, 78.78. Another, wow, 76.76 to 78.78. I wish you guys had played each other, Mike and Greg, because that would have been really entertaining. And Greg still would have lost. But Mike, what's going on with you going down to JMU game day and then we just happen to lose and our undefeated season gets ruined? Is it because you were there? I'm not saying it was, but they were 10-0 before you decided to attend. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about here. But Jason, slightly above average team, you're 6-5, you're true to your name again. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings real quick because we got some pretty interesting matchups coming up here. Guys, we only have 3 games left. We only have 3 weeks left, week 12, 13, and 14, and then it's going to be the playoffs. And remember, we're still doing a loser's bracket. There's still a chance if you're in the bottom 6, we're going to do that $5 buy-in, and the winner gets their $20 back, and second place gets $5 back, so you at least get your loser's buy-in back. And everyone else, you got something to fight for. The loser of the regular season is who plays over quarter, not of the loser's playoff bracket. But let's take a look at the standings in the East. Uncle Touchdown and the Dallas Jeff Boys have both clinched a playoff spot. Uncle Touchdown at 9-2, Dallas Deaf Boys 8-3, slightly above average, finally true to his name, 6-5. Then you've got Team Touchdown and Gone on Strike at 4-7. Wanakee Squirrel Salads at 3-8. Just looking at the streaks there, 7 games in a row for the Dallas Jeff Boys winning. Team Touchdown lost 4 in a row, and then Wanakee Squirrels have lost 6 in a row. The world is a much different place 6 weeks ago. Greg, what happened was, I was like, what happened to Greg's team? Because I remember our matchup was super close. Like, you had a ton of, you were, I think, 3-1 to start the season. It was Kirk Cousins. As soon as he got hurt, your team just kind of fell off the grid. And I'm sure you've had other injuries, maybe some ill-advised trades, but the Kirk Cousins effect, that's when it all started going downhill. So be nicer to him next time, because he would like that. All right, in the West, you got Chat GB Lee at 9-2, the Weasel 6-5, Field of Dreams 6-5, Team Queen Midnight Mike 4-7. Again, winning and losing in synchronization. It's quite interesting. We'll do a case study of it later. And then Flute Master, 2-game win streak snapped back to 3-8. But guys, here's the interesting thing: we have 3 weeks left in our season, and no one is eliminated from the playoffs officially. Greg has a 1% chance, and Michael has a 2% chance of making the playoffs, and Hannah has a 6% chance, but everyone has a chance. To quote that famous movie, we could still do it. That's not the quote I was thinking of, but I couldn't remember it. I think it's something about, you're telling me there's a chance. That was really dumb. I'm hungry, we haven't had lunch yet, and I'm smelling Thanksgiving food, and it's gonna be delicious. Anyways, there's still a chance. There's still a chance. I'm pretty excited to see this because, if Michael and Greg win, then we'll have, and then all the 4-7 teams lose, and I don't think any of them are playing each other. You'd have 6 teams with the same record which would just be wild, and people will still not be officially eliminated. So let's take a look at what we've got coming up for this coming week for our Week 12 matchups. You got the Dallas Jeff boys taking on, oh, Greg, sorry, I'm playing you. Just kidding. Just because I made that joke, you're going to beat me now. But right now, projected 117 for the Dallas Jeff boys, 293.5 for the Squirrel Salads. Team Queen taking on Gone on Strike, 2 4-7 teams battling it out, not trying to be one of those 4-win teams, because that's awful close to the bottom there right now. Team Queen projected 85.7, Matt projected 106.2. The rematch of Week 6 when Brandon handed Sean his first loss. Sean, you've lost to 2 teams this year, the best team and the worst team. That's a very interesting spread of losses. But you're taking on ChatGB Lee again. Right now, Brandon's projected 125.2 to Sean's 107.2. This will be the battle for the #1 seed. Both teams 9-2. This is pretty compelling stuff, guys. I'm pretty excited to see this matchup. Next up, Team Touchdown taking on the Flute Master. 4-7 Dan against 3-8 Michael. If Michael can pull it off, 4-game losing streak for Dan, you both would be 4-8. Would be pretty interesting. Next up, slightly above average team, Field of Dreams. 2 teams, one from the East, one from the West, both pushing for a playoff spot. I think 7 wins might clinch a spot in the West. I forget which division I'm in. Anyways, 102.7 for, I'm sorry, Jason's projected 114, Field of Dreams. Carlos is 106.6, very interesting. And then next up, the Weasel taking on Team Midnight. The Weasel's projected 109.7 to Mike's 94 points. So, guys, we've got ourselves just a wild close to the season. Nothing is written in stone except for most people's epitaphs and graves, date of birth and such. That would be written in stone. So aside from that, our season is wide open, except for, I think Brandon, myself, and Sean have clinched spots. There's 3 spots open. Do your very best. Pick out the best possible lineup, but most importantly, enjoy Thanksgiving tomorrow. Don't let the 3 games on Thursday and the game on Black Friday to ruin your time with your family. Your family will take care of ruining your day all on their own. So enjoy that. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you guys next week. Turkeys.